What's cooking, everybody? It's Brees, and we're here for another episode of the What's Cooking podcast, home with the hottest upcoming entrepreneurs and businessmen around the country and the world, as you've seen from our previous episodes. So today I have a special guest with us. His name is Dr. Black. He's a dentist in Brooklyn, and I'll let him introduce himself.
So how's it going? My name is Dr. Corey Black. I'm a general dentist, originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Went to University of Pittsburgh for dental school. Been in Brooklyn now for about almost 6 years. And I started my practice, SmileSpace, a little over 2 years ago. And actually right now at this point, I just signed the lease for a second practice in Harlem. So a lot of growth in a very short period of time.
That's what's up. Yeah, normally it's funny too, because it's like, when it comes to like the newcomers in Brooklyn, it's like, every time I see like a black person, I always assume like they're the hometown guy. So I thought you were a hometown guy.
Everybody does.
Yeah, because it's like, especially because you're in downtown Brooklyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Clinton Hill.
Clinton Hill, right? So I mean, yeah, that's around downtown. So it's like, in that area, there's a lot of gentrification and stuff like that. So it's like, if you're black and you're there, they think you're like,
You must have been
like
there.
I guess
One
a
of the
hometown
originals.
guy, like But
Yeah.
it's like for me, it's like just my personal experience. It's like everybody that I've been meeting, it's like now it's like I actually have to ask. I was like, oh, like where you from originally and stuff? Because you never know, because Harrisburg, like I told you, offset, like I know a lot of people from Harrisburg and a lot of good friends out there. So
Yeah, they don't usually, people from Harrisburg don't come here just because it's so much more expensive.
Yeah.
Right? What I pay for, like even my apartment, you can get a mansion
Oh,
in
for
Harrisburg,
sure.
literally. So it's like
anywhere in PA, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for real. But I think the dream chasers come here,
Yeah,
and I've always wanted to come to New York, always wanted to live in New York, and for at this point now I consider Brooklyn home.
So dream chasers, you from PA? You a Meek Mill fan? I'm assuming.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a diehard fan, but do I like his music? Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah. So one thing I want to point out too is we finally got the camera to work. I know you guys been speaking about the quality on the camera and whatnot. Finally got to work. Just technical difficulties on our sides. We apologize. We do multiple shoots in one go, so this is probably like the 20th episode that you have to sit through with that different angle. Sorry for it, but we finally got to work. We're finally
good.
here. So yeah, so let's get right into it. So what really motivated you or inspired you to go the dentistry route?
So I always wanted to be a doctor, right? Even though I'd never seen a doctor growing up, a black doctor, in my mind, I just always knew that I could do it. I knew that I wanted to help people because both of my parents were in the healthcare field. My mom is a nurse's assistant. She's been a nurse's aide for about 30 years now. And then my dad works in the sterilization department. So my entire life, I would see, my mom come home after treating patients all day. She would tell us stories of some of the crazy things that she experienced. And that, for me, always just kind of stuck in the back of my mind. Like, I really just want to help people. Like, at a young age, I always knew I wanted to do a job that was purposeful, meaningful, not just sit in a cubicle and make money. I wanted to actually do something that would impact the lives of people. And so I originally wanted to be a medical doctor, shadowed maybe 3 or 4 doctors. And each and every one of them said that if they could do it all over again, they would not do medicine. They would consider like dentistry, pharmacy. They mentioned a couple other ones, but when I started shadowing my dentist, that's when it all made sense. I was like, the lifestyle's good, the money's good, like guaranteed 6 figures. You're helping people. You do like 20 procedures.
Can you do something for me?
It's like that.
The rich flex right now.
Yeah. So, dentistry just kind of checked off all of my boxes. And then, I think my second year of undergrad is when I made the decision to start pursuing dentistry.
Okay. So I was gonna ask too, like, what's your background?
So my major?
No, I mean like your family background, like where's your
family? Oh, we're African American.
Oh, okay. No, because it's like you hear like my whole family's like into the med field. It's like we mostly think they're like Nigerian or somewhere from Africa or probably West Indian. So
most of my doctor friends are of African descent. No, we've been here. My family's been here since we were able to actually trace slave records back to the early 1800s.
Oh, wow.
So we've been here for a while. That's my mom's side. And my dad's side owned property in the early 1800s in West Virginia. So, we've been in America for a very long time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, so you would speak about shadowing. I'm assuming that's as you were a student, right? You said?
As a student in undergrad.
As undergrad. Okay, so then when it came to dental school. Talk about that experience. Like, what was it like for you?
So dental school in general is just very difficult. I think a lot of people don't really understand that. In my opinion, I think dental school is harder than medical school. One, because you have to learn everything about the human body. A lot of people think dentists just kind of focus on the mouth and that's it.
Yeah, I was actually just
Yeah.
saying that to my friends. I was like, imagine like what it's like to be a doctor. I was like, you gotta really think about what it takes because it's like you could be like a dentist and you still got like I literally said a dentist and you probably gotta learn the whole body. You gotta learn like the foot, even though you're not a
Yeah.
podiatrist. Like
Oh yeah,
crazy.
we so in dental school we took, to get into dental school we took all the sciences, right? Like biology, chemistry, physics, organic chemistry, all the labs, all of that just to get in. And then when I got in, it's like we take more advanced classes but at an accelerated rate. So every class is like 6 weeks. You have 3 exams within that 6-week period. I think the hardest class for me was anatomy. Okay, because we spent like 3 hours in lecture learning about every part of the body, literally. But then
3
we would go
hours.
to the lab, the cadaver lab. We actually had to dissect human bodies from head to toe and identify every single part of it. So for me, that I felt like that was challenging, learning the science or the medicine, but then also learning the dentistry. Right, we had to learn every part of a tooth, how a tooth develops, things that people just would never even think of. Okay, so I think that made it difficult. And then on top of that, we start learning the hand skills, the technical part of it as well. How to be an artist, how to like literally build a tooth from scratch. And all of that starts in the first year. And then as you move through the 4-year program, you go less from the academic portion, more to the clinic. So 3rd year is when you see your first patient. And then 4th year, it's all clinical. My experience, it was, I think, a little bit challenging just because I was one of, we started with 2 Black people and then we finished with 3, a girl transferred to our class.
Okay.
And so just honestly dealing with that, the social aspect of that on top of like the rigors of the academia, just made it a very stressful experience. But, to be honest, now in retrospect, when I look back, I'm grateful for that experience because I feel very comfortable around all types of people.
Right.
My circle is literally diverse. We look like the Magic School Bus or like Captain Planet. Everybody's just a different color.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that experience for exposing me to that.
Yeah, my high school and college like experience was the same where it's like everybody's diverse. Like I tell people all the time, like, especially me growing up with, in like mostly minority areas and stuff like that. It's like I tell people all the time, like, listen, bro, I have friends from all different backgrounds. Like you wouldn't believe me. Just because you don't have it doesn't mean I can't have it. But I like that you highlight that because like, for the most part, our audience is like, very open. It's like there's people in all different countries like that's watching like us right now.
Okay.
And for the most part though, I would say most of our audience is like, Black. So it's like I like that you highlighted, the fact that even though you had a tough time socially, you didn't give up, right? And I feel like especially in the community with this podcast too, what we're trying to do is specifically like in the Black community, we want to show people like, you don't have to be, rapper, basketball player, the typical cliche that they always say, you don't have to be this to be rich. You go so be these things. So we like to bring people of different professions and whatnot up on this show, specifically like minorities, to show everybody at home like, yo, I could do this. Like this is possible. If you could do it, I could do it. Like
100%.
what's stopping me? I'm gonna keep using the whole privilege excuse, like because of my skin color I can't do it. I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
100%.
Yeah, so I definitely respect that a lot. So just run it back in. So you said you went from Pittsburgh to
Yeah, so I was in Pittsburgh for 10 years. So I did my undergrad degree there. So my major was actually African American Studies.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people don't know that. You can major in anything you want as long as you take the required science classes to get into dental school. So I majored in Black Studies, pledged Sigma while I was there.
Oh, Sigma. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Sigma friends. That's
yeah,
great.
it's the best organization. I'm just saying, it's the only way to go. But I did that, and then my senior year, I actually did a program where there were 22 of us. We went to Argentina, South Africa, and China. My last semester of college, and we studied global health.
Okay.
So it was incredible. Me, like being from the hood, I'd never been on a plane. My family, we didn't take family vacations or anything like that. So first flight was to Argentina, and
I mean, a lot of people can't say that though.
Yeah.
A lot of people never touch Argentina.
I mean, it's not even a flex. That's
So
like,
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't try to like make it like seem like, oh, you know, my first flight was this. You know, I never flew out before. Like you take pride in that. You know, there's a lot of people who never been to Argentina. So
it was a long flight. I was like, what am I doing? But it was amazing, man. When I got there, it was like, you know, the Spanish that I took in high school. I actually failed Spanish in high school. I picked up a lot of those skills that I just really thought I didn't, and I was able to communicate. I had a girlfriend while I was there for that short period of time. But it was just incredible to go to, we literally did a full rotation around the world and just interacted with all different cultures and learned about their healthcare systems. And I never felt more free. Okay. And so since coming back to America, that was probably 11 years ago, I've been chasing freedom. I've been trying to get that same level of freedom, which is why, and we'll talk about it more, but that's why I made some of the decisions that I made to put myself in the position that I'm in now.
Right.
We'll talk about it.
That's what's up. Yeah. So like I was asking. So yeah, from University of Pittsburgh, you went to
University of Pittsburgh. I came to Brooklyn. So
okay.
Yeah, I did University of Pittsburgh undergrad and dental school.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. I didn't clarify.
Okay,
yeah. So I took 2 years off. Worked, and then I started dental school 2013.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna ask, just depending on what you were gonna say, I was gonna ask like, so always like being home and whatnot. Like, did you feel comfortable in school just because you know that's your area and whatnot? Or did you want to go away? Like,
I did want to go away. I did. I mean, Pittsburgh's very different than Harrisburg, right? Pittsburgh, although it's not New York, it's still a bigger city. So I was, you know, happy to just be close to Harrisburg. You know, it's relatively close to home. But also it was so different that I felt like I was growing as a person, you know? And then when I finished undergrad, I decided to stay in Pittsburgh. I didn't want to become that guy that like, I didn't want to become,
I don't know what that is.
Construction. I didn't want to become that guy that like went back to Harrisburg and then got stuck. So I decided to just stay in Pittsburgh the entire time.
Okay. Yeah, so you said you were a Sigma at a big D1 school. So how did you keep focused? Because I ain't gonna lie, man. I say all the time, if I was like a frat guy, especially at a big D1 school, I don't know.
Oh, I mean,
too many events, man.
It's balance. It's balance. You need to have balance. Like for me, the priority has always been education. I went to college for that, right? I knew that education was my ticket out of the hood. So, but I had fun. Like yes,
I don't doubt it.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, but also, you know, it was like my group of friends, a lot of them were doctors now. We knew we would party on a Saturday night, but then Sunday we're up studying, doing what we needed to do to like get the grades to get into dental school. Yeah,
because you definitely have to have that like collective circle too. Like, you know, for me personally, it's like I had like it's weird. I never had like an official circle in terms of study. It's like I always that's the thing too. Not everybody took the same classes after like probably my junior year. That's when everybody starts splitting up to their main core classes. So people I'm studying with my freshman sophomore year can't really study with them anymore. So it's like my junior year, it's like, you know, chapters 1 to 3, I'm studying with these people. Chapters 4 to 6, I'm studying with these people. Like, it's just, we're all over the place, really. But it's good to have that, you know, core friends that really hold you accountable and really, you know, make 100%. Sure everything's good. Yeah. 100%. So coming to Brooklyn, like, what was that transition like in terms of, because you opened up your practice, right?
Yeah, I opened it in 2020.
Yeah. So you opened your practice. So like, what was that like in terms of like, you know, finding the place, finding a situation that fits you, just the environment, the culture shift, like all of that.
It was, so I moved here for residency. So when you finish dental school, and depending on the state you want to practice in, you don't necessarily have to do a residency, but I just wanted to be like a super dentist. I wanted to learn all the skills while I was still kind of in that learning mode, because I talked to other doctors and basically they would often tell me that, you know, they would kind of get into their own isolated bubble and not really like, they would get comfortable with the skills that they had. And it's hard to learn new skills once you're like in work mode and you're making money. It's hard to take time away and try to learn a new skill. I think so. So I moved to Brooklyn for residency. I did my residency at Kings County Hospital. And
actually, I think that's where I was born.
Oh yeah?
Kings County or downstate, isn't it the same thing?
Right, they're like right across the street.
That's where I was born. Yeah, that's crazy.
So Kings, I picked Kings because I knew a resident who finished there, and basically the appeal was that I would have had the opportunity to place implants. So a lot of general dentists don't do surgery, right? They'll just kind of refer to a specialist. For me, I was like, I want to learn implants. So did the program. It's one of the best in the country, on call, you know. 3 times a month, staying in the hospital, getting called to the ER, suturing faces back together. Crazy. Yeah, incredible experience. And then on top of that, my roommate and I, we had like the bachelor pad, probably the best apartment in Brooklyn. And our neighbors were like Chris Rock's family, which was, for me, moving to New York, I was like, is this how it is? You just neighbors with celebrities and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, depending where you're at.
It depends where you are, but
my friends, like, I don't know if you're like a basketball fan, but Nick Claxton, like, he lives in the same building as them. It's crazy. They just see him.
So that's just, yeah. I mean, I realize that now, crazy, but in Pittsburgh, that wasn't happening. Like, you're not sharing a balcony with like Chris Rock's people. But it was incredible though. It was like a fun year. But then when I finished residency, I had difficulty finding, I felt like a good job. When I first got out though, I did get a job with this implant center, and I would travel all over New York doing surgery. The thing is, it was a little bit too, in my opinion, it was too much. Like, I saw one doctor treat 120 patients in a day. How is that? Even as a practicing dentist now, it's impossible. So the quality was compromised. After 2 months, they fired me.
Wow. Why is that?
The owner basically said, she was like, you're not confident. She was like, you don't have that confidence that we need. And I was like, well, you're practicing in an extreme way that's not ideal.
Because it's kind of like life or death type of.
It's just, I don't want to talk bad about the company, but the quality, let me just say the quality was compromised. You can't see that many patients and have 100% quality, just in my opinion. So they fired me, they paid me $20,000. I was like, cool. I got my experience. I learned, it was like, I consider it post-residency fellowship. So I learned, I felt like I learned a little bit more about just surgery in general. So after that, I had a job with my previous orthodontic attending. She's a celebrity orthodontist, Dr. Bobby. And she was like, Dr. Black.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, you said shout out.
Yeah, it's a quick shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Bobby. She basically took me under her wing when I was in residency. She was like, I see the work you do, and I think the people in the community that her practice is in will benefit from my services. So got a chance to work with her, work with some celebrities, some like Love and Hip Hop people, rappers that
I saw you work with Dapper Dan.
I actually haven't worked on Dapper. I just met Dapper Dan.
Okay. I thought like, it was like after surgery or something.
It's funny. It's funny, like social media can make it look that way, but I just met Dapper Dan in Harlem at an event. But I've had like other rappers and stuff, people from the 90s that I saw growing up on TV, getting a chance to like meet them and work on them. That was cool. But I also had like 3 other jobs in Medicaid, hustling. I hustled for an entire year. Got a job with this black woman who took me on as a mentor. She was like, I'll be your mentor. I want you to work in my office. It was amazing, man. I would see probably half the patients that I saw in Medicaid and make twice as much money. And then after 6 months, she fired me.
Oh, wow.
So I got fired twice in my first year as a doctor.
But you didn't give up?
I didn't give up. I was like, I know my value. I know I went to school for so long. I was thinking about all the classes that I took, all the patients that I've already treated and, done quality work. I was like, I'm gonna take a leap of faith and just believe in myself. And that's what started SmileSpace.
Okay. Yeah. So speak about like the location and like, when it came to finding like where you wanted to set up at and whatnot.
To be honest, it really wasn't strategic. I was in a relationship at the time, and my ex and I, we were walking down. There's always like an ex involved in something. But we were walking down Fulton Street, and I was like, I don't see any like super high quality dental practices here. And so I saw
which street? I'm sorry.
Fulton.
Fulton, like where in Bed-Stuy or Fulton?
Fulton and Clinton, where I'm at now.
Yeah, so Best. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like right before Bed-Stuy. Yeah. So I found this commercial space that I wanted. Called the number. This guy Dove, who's now one of my close friends, actually. He was like, "All right, I'll show you the space." Showed me that space that I wanted, but it was too small. And he's like, "Oh, I have another one. It's in Bed-Stuy." I was like, I want to be downtown Brooklyn. I want to be downtown. At that time, I didn't know Bed-Stuy, right? But he found my current space. When I walked in, I was like, this is it. I knew it. And so in terms of location, he basically did the work. And then for me, it was like a gut feeling, my intuition, which I follow. Anytime I have a good feeling about something, I'll make that decision. And that's why I picked the location that I'm at now.
Okay, yeah, because that's the thing too. I didn't even mention the backstory. So I apologize to all the viewers out there that want to know how we even meet. So actually, this is the first time we ever met in person.
Yeah, so literally like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, like what happened was, so this was like a week or two ago. Somebody, well, time we were recording this, it's what's it? It's like January 27th, 26th, something like that.
I lose track
So
of
I don't know, just in case you guys want to know the accuracy to like what day it is and stuff. But yeah, basically it was through like one of those TikTok pages, like those review pages, food pages, whatever. And somebody promoted, I don't even remember who it was. I feel like it was Raw Reviews. Shout out to Raw Reviews. If you haven't watched the episode, it'll be somewhere here. Click it. But anyways, it was a page that shared his business, and I thought the office space was pretty beautiful, like very nice looking office. That's why I was like, asking so many questions on that. And also too, it's just like, I saw a black dentist and I said Brooklyn too. I'm just like, oh, this is perfect, because one thing, a lot of people tend to say, especially now, is just like, we need to invest in like the black businesses and whatnot. Like not only that, but we need to see like black professionals, not just for our kids' sakes, but just for our sake. Especially when it comes to skincare, hair care, stuff like that. People always say, we want products made by black people because they understand us, they know what it's like. So same thing with a dentist, or doctors in general. We want to see, doctors that look like us because one, it makes us more comfortable, and then two, it gives us that assurance that okay, like like he really understands me, like he knows like how I feel and stuff for real. So he's gonna really take care of me and really make sure that everything is going smoothly with like the operations and all that.
Yeah, a lot of people. I hear it probably at least once a week. They'll say I've never seen a black dentist in my life, which to me is shocking. I know so many, but it's just like compared to the number of non-black dentists, we are a very small percentage of the profession.
Yeah, because I feel like with professionals too, it's like in the black community, at least most of them are like old people, like people that's been around for a minute. So it's like you want to see more people that's like younger. If you're a parent, you want to see somebody that's young enough to be like your son or your daughter, or like if you're a young person like my age, you want to see somebody that looks like they're your age, like your friend type of vibe. So it's like young black dentist is like makes me feel more comfortable and whatnot. But yeah. So we just had like a quick conversation through the DM, and then boom, we're here. So that's really the short backstory to it. But
I show up if I'm invited.
Of course.
That's my thing. 2023.
Yeah, and it's definitely a pleasure to have you here because the thing with me is like I really thought it was creative to have like a professional person here, because most of the people we have are entrepreneurs in the sense of what people think is an entrepreneur. Oh, somebody owns their own business, stuff like that. They wouldn't think that you're an entrepreneur because you're a dentist. They would think, oh, he's a doctor, so he's working for the space. They don't understand that it's your space, so it's like you are the entrepreneur. This is all your your stuff, your business, everything. Yeah. So like I guess speak to the audience more about like what does it feel like running your own space and whatnot.
It's fun. It's funny. I feel like if we would have had this conversation a year ago, you would have gotten a very different response. And the reason I say that is now, at this point in my career, I've kind of catered or tailored the business to benefit me in a sense, as opposed to me just giving everything to the company. I don't know. Yeah, let me elaborate. Okay, so when I first opened, anytime you do a startup practice, you don't really have an established clientele. So you're building. I had this idea, right? SmileSpace was in my head, and then I brought it to life, right? So when you bring it to life, it has to grow. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. In our case, we actually grew very fast. Right now we're the #1 dental practice in Brooklyn. It grew extremely fast.
Yeah. You gotta clap it up at your laptops or your phones or whatever. Yeah.
It grew extremely fast. And so to keep up with that demand, it required a lot more energy on my part. So I was in the office 6 days a week, right? Like 10, 12 hours a day. And I hit a point where I actually burned out. And I burned out like 3 times in that 1 year, the first year. So on social media, it's like, oh man, everybody's seeing how fast it's growing, the number of reviews we got, all good things. But the reality is I would go home and I would be burned out. Back hurts, legs. I'm going to a podiatrist, chiropractor, getting massages in Chinatown every week.
That's what comes with it, man. You put in the work for the people. You just got to carry the load of like the pros and the cons, the good and the bad.
So I kind of disagree with that. I'm at a point now in my life where it's like I'm not willing to compromise my own mental, physical health for anything. That's just where I'm at. And so I'm fortunate to be in a business where I don't have to be present in the office. I work 1 day a week, right? I'm only there on Wednesday. It's a long day. I'm usually out of commission on Thursday. The fact that I'm here is an accomplishment, my brother, because I'm usually
when you told me, oh, I'm off on Thursday, I'm like, off.
Oh yeah,
like,
I'm off.
I'm thinking doctors are working like 12-hour shifts a day or something.
That's
like,
the reality for most
like
doctors.
7 days a week.
Most doctors,
that's crazy.
They put in that time, but for me, I'm very intentional about prioritizing my freedom. We were talking about it earlier. That's what I want. So right now, I do what I want. I go in, I treat the patients that really only want to see me. I have 4 doctors that work for me. They get a percentage of what they do. I get a bigger percentage of what they do. They get paid very well. I get paid very well. I'm on a salary now. And so, because of that, I'm very happy and very content. And I've kind of put things in order to be able to do that, to have that freedom and that passive income. Yeah,
they're making all this noise. They got to turn the heat on. I'm here. I'm cold, man. I know people probably wondering why I have a coat on. I'm cold. But I actually like that, because that's the true definition of entrepreneurship right there. Like, the whole point is not just to make money, but to have the freedom.
So I think more importantly, the freedom.
Yeah, definitely more importantly, the freedom. Because it's like I've been watching a lot of business podcasts, just taking notes and things like that. And I feel like even though I'm taking notes in terms of how they do things, I'm also taking gems on what they speak about. Yeah. And the key thing is always freedom. So
yes,
the more I hear it, the more I feel like, all right, that's the answer right there. It's kind of like a reconfirmation for me.
100% is for me. It's like, I think also 11 years ago when I was traveling the world, I had a taste of it. And I think once you get a taste of something and you know what it's like, you can always crave that and want it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I knew what it was like. And then I came back to America, and it was like, in America, the way that you have to work, 9 to 5, 5 days a week for most of your life until you retire. And then when you retire, it's like you're too old or too tired to really enjoy it. I don't want that.
Right.
So I'm at a point, I'm 33. I literally have freedom and autonomy. If I want to go to Paris tomorrow, I can literally go to Paris tomorrow.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't think you were 33, bro. Oh, really? I thought you was like 30, 20. Like,
a lot of people, yeah. It's weird. I get like 40 something. Somebody thought that I was 40. And then yesterday, a guy was like,
because you're
23.
Because like I said earlier, like, when it comes to like the black professionals, people always think they're like older and stuff.
I think so. So naturally, they're like, there's no way you're 33 with your own business to practice it. Like, how? But for me, I'm really hungry for it.
Yeah, like our previous guest, Malik Dupree, he's a luxury fashion designer. He was, he was a doctor. I don't remember what. I think he was in PT. But he was a doctor, and like I think he's like 27, 26. And like, when he said, yeah, I was a doctor at first, I'm like, at what age? Because you're so young right now. Like, you were a doctor at what, like 18? Like, it's crazy to like see younger professionals. So.
It's funny because I became a doctor at 28, and that was actually relatively old compared to my classmates, because I took 2 years off before even going in. So 26 actually is around like the average age for newer doctors anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I am, again, just being in my 30s, I feel like time is flying. It hits a little bit different up here when it's like, I just don't want to be one of those people who like work so hard, you give everything to whatever it is, your business, your profession, and then you look back and it's just like you didn't really have time to enjoy your own life. And I never want to be that person. I want to look back and say, I'm glad I made decisions early on that put me in a position to be able to enjoy my life to the max. And so I can say I'm genuinely content and happy. A lot of people, they'll say, okay, you preach that, but like you're opening another one in Harlem. You just signed a lease for Harlem. That's gonna be more work. But for me, I put a limit on it.
You kind of have the blueprint to it already.
I have the blueprint.
Yeah, so you kind of know how to manage it.
100%. And I put a time limit on it. So I'm not gonna burn myself out. I'm giving myself 6 months. I'm gonna bring another doctor in. Because the goal is to have 10 smile spaces, all passive income, salary from each one, relaxing.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a real goal.
That's a gem right there, man.
100%.
Yeah, because I'm 26, so it's just like, I always try like, and that's the thing. People always tend to tell me, like I need to take a break. I need to relax. I'm burning myself out. But I'm just like, listen, until I have the freedom to do what I want, any given day, like you said, you could just go to Paris tomorrow if you wanted to. I gotta bust my ass. Excuse my language. Like, I know I don't condone curse on it, but I really felt that. Like, I have to bust my ass, bro, because it's just like, I can't sit around, when I'm like 40, 50 and just regret all the times I was partying, traveling, and doing all this stuff, just to not have anything to show for it when I get older. Like, I could do that stuff, like, as I get older. I feel like people tend to say stuff like that. Oh, do this stuff while you're young, because when you're older, it's gonna be an issue. But I feel like the people who say that are the ones who are in that regretful type of mode. Like they feel that where it's like, I wish, I was doing this when I was younger because now I can't do it. But if focused up when you were younger, you could do that now and a decade from now and so on and so on. So yeah.
Well, I mean, the one thing you can't get back is time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's that's the most valuable thing. And money, I'm telling you, I woke up one day, 6 months into the business, bank account loaded, okay, and I wasn't happy. And it actually scared me. Like I felt anxiety. I was like, oh man, like this has always been the goal, right? This has always been the dream my whole life. I'm overcoming, right? Coming from the hood, like just overcoming things, right? There's always something to overcome. I got to a point where there was nothing else to overcome, and I wasn't happy. And so I was like, what do I do? A patient called it an existential crisis. Like you get to a point where you're like, what am I supposed to be like?
Because you're really looking for your calling at that point.
Yeah, and the thing that I fought so hard for wasn't fulfilling me. So it's like, what do you do? But I'm fortunate to be in a position or to be in a profession where I have options. And so that's why I've been very intentional about creating a situation that serves me. And that's why I have time to do stuff like this and have energy and be happy and smiling and genuinely mean it. Because before I used to be like, yeah, I'm happy, yeah. But like deep down, I really wasn't. So for me, I just refuse to let anything take that piece from me.
So I'm sure the audience at home wants to know, like, give us like what's the craziest story you had, like when it came to like dealing with a patient, like drilling teeth, veneers, like have any funny stories you want to share with us?
Man, so many crazy stories. But it's funny, I was just thinking about this yesterday. When you say crazy, a lot of times people assume crazy in a bad way, but I'll say crazy in a good way. So there was a moment where I realized that I'm fulfilling my purpose. Hate telling the story, but it's a good one. So there was this guy who my friend basically referred to me. Dude, 38 years old, cancer. Okay. He had
like his age, or I mean,
not the zodiac,
like actual
yeah,
cancer.
like cancer,
Okay.
stomach cancer.
Okay.
So he's 38 years old, had a tumor, and his body basically started to attack itself, right? I don't know if it was like the medication. I don't know what it was. So he came to me, teeth completely obliterated, cavities all over the place. I had to pretty much take almost everything out. And a part of it was they didn't really have a doctor to trust. And obviously like the mouth wasn't really the priority. It was everything else. So he came to me and I was like, oh, man, this is a lot. And on top of that is a complicated case. I know the medications. Some medications can affect, the bleeding and things like that. So I went into it nervous. I was like, oh, man, I don't want to make the situation worse. He said, I trust you. I want you to do it. And as a doctor, one of the things I say as a dentist, I'm a psychologist first. I have a lot of conversations with people like this one-on-one, and I build that trust. And I learn about them and they learn about me. So this guy basically was just like us, like young, fly, cool, and got diagnosed with cancer. And he was engaged. His woman left him. And he's pretty much like telling me his whole journey, how he got to that point. So long story short, I, fixed his entire mouth. And, he was telling me he's in a group chat with his boys and they were like, yo, your smile's better than all of ours now. And so, after about a year, he passed away. And the guy that referred him to me went to his funeral. And he said his mom ran up to him and she was crying. She's like, can you please just tell Dr. Black, thank you for making the last year of his life incredible. He was able to eat again normally, able to smile again confidently. And the fact that this woman at her son's funeral, that's one of the things that she was even thinking about, for me, gave me that reassurance that that's exactly what I'm doing. So when you say crazy, that's probably one of the craziest stories in a good way, because it kind of refueled my desire to help people. I was feeling burned out, trying to figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that for me was it. And I'm just so happy and grateful that I was able to improve his quality of life, at least for that last year that he was here on Earth. So
yeah. So last question I wanted to ask you, it's pretty serious for like, business purposes, stuff like that, especially for the audience. I was going to ask you in regards to dental insurance. How just speak on like what you feel about dental insurance. Do you feel like it's something serious, something important that we should all have? Like tell the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, when it comes to insurance in general, especially younger people, we always assume that we're immune to whatever diseases and things are out there. And so I obviously, I'm going to say you should have dental insurance. I think most people, at least from a preventive standpoint, should have that coverage to be able to come to see me at least twice a year. Okay, I've seen people younger than both of us. A guy 21 years old, all of his teeth are moving. All right, he needs a denture. He doesn't even have the bone to get implants. Dentures. He's 21. So, I think if he would have had insurance and he would have been educated on the importance of using that insurance for preventive purposes, I think, obviously he would be in a much better situation. That's extreme, but if anything, the insurance will allow you to come to SmileSpace and get that experience and, like come and see me as your doctor.
Yeah, I definitely gotta stop by too.
I got you.
I gotta do the Kodak. Well, I gotta wash my hands. Don't really touch all this stuff here, but the Kodak smile, like with the grills and stuff. But Dr. Black, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here. Definitely audience, show him some love. Check out the Smiley Space in Brooklyn. If you're looking for a dentist or you're looking for a new dentist, check him out for sure. Definitely. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, definitely. Like I was gonna say, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Check his page out as well. Do the same with him, and we're out.
Smilespace NYC on Instagram, Dr. C Black on Instagram. Check us out. We're here for you.
Yes, sir. So it's definitely a pleasure. And if you want to see a part 2, guys, let us know. So yeah.
Like I said, 2023, I'll show up. So if I'm invited again, I'll be here.
For sure. So yeah, it was definitely a pleasure, Dr. Black. So yeah, we're out. And like I said, show us some love and keep it rolling.